My wife demanded independence in therapy, so I gave her exactly what she asked for, changed locks, donated her things, and let freedom teach the lesson. I knew this was going to be one hell of a session. "He acts like he owns me," she screamed. Her face flushed red as she pointed an accusatory finger in my direction. "Marriage does not give men property rights over women." Our couples counselor nodded sympathetically while maintaining that practice-neutral expression therapist perfect over years of dealing with marital drama. But I could see it in her eyes. She was already taking sides. My wife continued her tirade, pacing around the small office like a caged animal. "I cannot breathe in this marriage. Every decision has to go through him. Where I go, what I spend, who I talk to. It is like I am some kind of possession." The accusations hung in the air like smoke from a house fire. 6 months of growing tension had led us to this beige-walled office with its generic motivational posters and tissue boxes strategically placed on every surface. What started as her complaints about feeling unfulfilled had escalated into full-blown character assassination. "I see," the therapist said, her pen moving across her notepad. "And how does this make you feel?" "Trapped, suffocated, like I'm living someone else's life instead of my own." The therapist turned to me with raised eyebrows, clearly expecting me to defend myself against these explosive accusations. My wife stood there breathing heavily, arms crossed, waiting for me to start begging or making excuses. Instead, I leaned back in my chair and smiled. "She is absolutely right," I said calmly. Both women stared at me like I just confessed to a crime they were not expecting. "Excuse me," my wife stammered. "You heard correctly. You are absolutely right about everything you just said." I kept my voice level and reasonable. "Marriage does not give men property rights over women. You are not my possession. You should not feel trapped or suffocated." The therapist blinked rapidly, clearly thrown off her therapeutic script. This was not the defensive, pleading husband she was prepared to mediate. My wife's mouth opened and closed like she was trying to catch flies. What? You said I act like I own you. And you know what? You are completely correct about that too. I do not own you. Never have, never will." I shrugged casually. "A man cannot own another human being. That would be slavery. And last I checked, that was abolished quite some time ago." The silence in the room was deafening. My wife looked like someone had just pulled the rug out from under her entire argument. "So what exactly are you saying?" she finally managed. "I am saying you have made some excellent points here today. You want complete independence. You want to make every decision without input from me. You want to live your own life without feeling like you owe anyone explanations." I stood up and straightened my jacket. "That sounds perfectly reasonable." The therapist finally found her voice. "Well, this is unexpected. How are you feeling about your wife's concerns?" "Grateful, actually. She has been very clear about what she wants. Independence, freedom, the ability to live entirely on her own terms." I looked directly at my wife, and honestly, I respect that every person deserves to live the life they choose. My wife's eyes narrowed suspiciously. "What is the catch?" "No catch. You want independence? You should have independence. You want to live your own life. You should absolutely live your own life. You want complete freedom from feeling like anyone has any claim on your decisions." I picked up my keys from the side table. "Consider it done." "Wait, what does that mean exactly?" she asked. And for the first time in months, I heard uncertainty in her voice. "It means you are going to get exactly what you asked for. Every single thing you just said you wanted." I headed toward the door. "Thank you for helping my wife articulate her needs so clearly. This has been incredibly enlightening." As I reached for the door handle, I turned back one more time. "Oh, and honey, since you feel so strongly about not being owned or controlled, I am sure you will not mind handling your own transportation home. Taking the bus is very independent." The last thing I heard as I left was my wife sputtering something about how that was not what she meant, while the therapist fumbled through her notes looking for the right therapeutic response to a husband who just agreed with every criticism his wife had thrown at him. Walking to my car, I felt something I had not experienced in months. Clarity. She wanted to be completely free of any obligations to me. Perfect. I was about to show her exactly what that looked like. 3 days passed before she brought up what happened at the therapist's office. 3 days of her shooting me suspicious glances across the breakfast table, waiting for me to crack and start the usual cycle of apologies and promises to change. I did not. Tuesday evening, she cornered me in the kitchen while I was loading the dishwasher. "We need to talk about what you said." "Which part?" I asked, continuing to stack plates methodically. "You know which part. That whole act you put on about agreeing with me." I turned to face her, genuinely curious. "What act? You said you wanted independence." "I said you should have it. Pretty straightforward conversation. She crossed her arms. That familiar defensive posture I had seen 1,000 times. Do not play dumb. You were trying to make some kind of point. The only point I made was agreeing with your very reasonable request for complete autonomy. I closed the dishwasher and hit the start button. Was there something unclear about my response? Her eyes narrowed. You are being sarcastic. Not at all. I am being supportive of your clearly stated needs. I leaned against the counter, completely relaxed. You wanted to stop feeling like someone had any claim on your decisions. That makes perfect sense. She stared at me for a long moment, clearly trying to figure out my angle. When the silence stretched too long, she threw her hands up in frustration. Fine. You know what? I think I do need some space to figure things out. This whole dynamic between us is not working. I could not agree more. That was not the response she expected either. I could practically see the gears grinding in her head as she recalibrated. I am serious. I think I should stay at my sister's place for a few weeks just to clear my head and think about what I really want. That sounds like excellent self-care. How long were you thinking? Another pause, another confused blink. I do not know. However long it takes. Take all the time you need. There is no rush on self-discovery. She studied my face like she was trying to crack some kind of code. You are really okay with this? Why would not I be? You are taking responsibility for your own happiness. That is admirable. I pulled out my phone and started scrolling through emails. Do you need help carrying anything to your car? That is it. You are not going to fight for us. Try to convince me to stay. I looked up from my phone, genuinely puzzled. Fight for what exactly? You just told me our dynamic is not working and you need space to figure out what you want. Those sound like healthy boundaries to me. She stammered, clearly thrown off her script. But do not you care that I am leaving? Of course, I care about your well-being. That is exactly why I support your decision to do what is best for you. I went back to my phone. Independence means making choices without needing someone else's permission or approval, right? She stood there for another minute, mouth slightly open, probably waiting for me to break down and beg her to reconsider. When it became clear that was not happening, she straightened her shoulders. Okay, then I will start packing tonight. Smart move. Getting an early start makes everything easier. That evening, I sat in my home office working while she moved around upstairs, packing bags with increasingly dramatic thuds and door slams. Each noise was clearly designed to get my attention, to draw me into some kind of emotional confrontation. Instead, I ordered Thai food from her favorite restaurant and left her portion on the kitchen counter with a note. You might want dinner before your big adventure. Good luck with everything. When she came downstairs dragging 2 oversized suitcases, she found me watching Netflix on the couch. This is really how you want to leave things? She asked, standing in the doorway with her luggage. Leave things how? You are embarking on a journey of self-discovery. I think that is great. I paused the show and turned to face her. I ordered your usual pad thai. It is in the kitchen if you want it. She stared at me for a long moment, clearly struggling with the fact that I was not playing my assigned role in whatever drama she had scripted in her head. I will call you in a few days, she finally said. No need to feel obligated. Take whatever time you need to find yourself. I smiled genuinely. Drive safe. After she left, I finished my dinner in peace, unpaused my show, and started making mental lists. If she wanted complete independence, I was about to give her exactly that. Every single aspect of it. The house felt different already. Quieter, like a weight I had not realized I was carrying, had just walked out the front door with 2 oversized suitcases. I waited exactly 24 hours before I started making changes. Not out of spite or anger, but because I wanted to be absolutely certain she was committed to this journey of independence. Her radio silence confirmed what I already suspected. She was waiting for me to crack and come crawling back with apologies. Thursday morning, I drove to Home Depot and bought new locks for every exterior door. Basic deadbolts, nothing fancy. The cashier asked if I was upgrading security after a break-in. Something like that, I replied. Back home, I spread the hardware across the kitchen table and got to work. Changing locks is not rocket science when you have spent years fixing things around the house. Remove the old cylinder, install the new one, test the mechanism. Simple, methodical, satisfying. The front door took 20 minutes. The back door, another 15. The side entrance from the garage, 10 minutes tops. Each click of the new tumblers falling into place felt like progress. While I worked, I thought about her words from the therapist's office. I cannot breathe in this marriage. Well, now she had all the breathing room in the world. Next came her belongings. I started with her clothes, methodically going through the walk-in closet we had shared for 3 years. Each item got carefully folded and placed into boxes I had picked up from the liquor store. Designer dresses that cost more than most people's rent, shoes she had worn twice, purses that sat collecting dust. All of it went into neatly labeled containers. Her jewelry box posed a brief dilemma. Some pieces had been gifts from me, others she had bought herself. In the spirit of her newfound independence, I decided she should have everything. After all, a truly free person should not be tied down by sentimental attachments to shared memories. The bathroom was next. Expensive skincare products, makeup that probably cost more than my monthly gym membership, hair tools that required their own electrical circuit. Everything went into boxes marked personal care items. By Friday afternoon, I had systematically gone through every room, separating her possessions from ours. Books, decorative items, that ridiculous throw pillow collection she insisted made the house feel homey. All carefully packed and ready for donation. The Goodwill pickup truck arrived Saturday morning, right on schedule. "Lot of nice stuff here," the driver commented, loading box after box. "Someone getting divorced? Not exactly, just helping someone achieve complete independence." He gave me a confused look but kept loading. When they drove away, I felt something I had not experienced in months, space to breathe in my own home. That afternoon, I tackled the financial independence aspect of her journey. I called our credit card companies and had her removed as an authorized user. The bank required a brief conversation to remove her access to our joint checking account, but they were surprisingly accommodating when I explained she was pursuing financial independence. "Will she be opening her own accounts?" the customer service representative asked. "I certainly hope so. Financial autonomy is very important for personal growth." Sunday, I rearranged the furniture. Her oversized sectional that dominated the living room got replaced with a simple leather chair I had had in storage. The dining room table, which seated 8 people we never entertained, made way for a smaller 4-seater I found on Marketplace. The house began to feel like mine again, instead of a stage set for a life I had never quite fit into. Monday morning brought the peace to resistance. I had the cable company disconnect her premium channels, the lifestyle networks and reality shows. She binged religiously. A truly independent person would not need my financial support for entertainment. After all, by Monday evening, I stood in my transformed home and took inventory. New locks, check. Personal belongings relocated to their rightful independent owner via donation, check. Financial accounts separated to promote individual responsibility, check. Living space optimized for an actual human being rather than a magazine spread, check. The house phone rang around 8 in the evening. I let it go to voicemail, curious to see how long her silence would last. Turned out not very long at all. When I finally played the message, her voice had a different tone than I had heard in months. Less imperious, more uncertain. "Hey, it is me. Just wanted to check in and see how you were doing. Call me back when you get this." I deleted the message and poured myself a glass of bourbon. She wanted to check on how I was doing. That was interesting. A week ago, she could barely stand being in the same room with me. Now she was concerned about my well-being. Independence, it seemed, was working out exactly as intended for both of us. Tuesday morning brought 3 more voicemails. Her tone had shifted from concerned to confused to slightly irritated. "It is me again. I tried calling yesterday, but you did not pick up. Can you call me back? I need to grab a few things. I forgot the second message 2 hours later. I am not sure why you are not answering. I just need to swing by the house for some of my stuff. Text me when you will be home." The third that evening. "Okay, this is getting ridiculous. I know you are there. Just pick up the phone." I did not call back. Wednesday brought a different approach. She started texting. "Need to pick up my winter coats. When is a good time?" I waited 3 hours before responding. "Which coats specifically?" "All of them from the hall closet. Those were donated yesterday. You said you needed independence, so I helped free you from material attachments." My phone started ringing immediately. I declined a call. She texted back in all caps. "You did what?" "Helped facilitate your journey towards self-reliance." Goodwill was very appreciative of the donation. The phone rang again, declined again. "This is insane. Those were my clothes. We are being the operative word. Now they are helping other people achieve their own independence. Very empowering, do not you think?" Radio silence for 2 hours. "Then I am coming over to get the rest of my things." "What things?" "I thought we covered everything. Whatever is left. I will be there at 6 o'clock. At exactly 6 in the evening, I heard a car pull into the driveway from my office window. I watched her march up to the front door with the confidence of someone who had lived here for 3 years. I heard her key hit the lock. Turn. Stop. Try again. Stop. The doorbell rang. I opened the door to find her standing there with a confused expression. Key still in her hand. "The lock is broken," she announced. "No, it works perfectly. I tested it this morning. My key will not turn. That is because it is not your key anymore." She stared at me like I'd just told her gravity had been cancelled. "What do you mean it is not my key? I changed the locks. You wanted complete independence, remember? Independent people have their own keys to their own homes. This is my home too." I leaned against the doorframe, perfectly relaxed. "Is it though? Because last I checked, independent people do not rely on others for housing. They stand on their own 2 feet. Her face went through several color changes. "You cannot just lock me out of my own house. I am not locking you out of anything. You chose to leave to find yourself. This just ensures you have the space you need to do that without any complicated entanglements. I need my things." "What things? You took 2 suitcases when you left. Everything else has been donated to help other people achieve their independence." She pushed past me into the foyer, looking around wildly. "Where is my jewelry box, my makeup, my books, living their best life at Goodwill?" She ran upstairs. I heard closet doors slamming, drawers being yanked open, increasingly frantic footsteps. When she came back down, her face was pale. "You got rid of everything. I facilitated your freedom from material possessions. Very zen, actually." "This is insane. You cannot just throw away my stuff." "I did not throw anything away. I donated it to people who could use it. Very socially conscious." I checked my watch. Speaking of which, was not independence supposed to include handling your own transportation, standing on your own 2 feet, and all that? "I cannot believe you are doing this." "Doing what?" "Supporting your clearly stated goals. You said you wanted to live your own life without anyone having any claim on your decisions. Mission accomplished." She pulled out her phone and started dialing. "I am calling the police." "Absolutely. Independent people should know how to navigate legal systems on their own." I stepped aside to give her privacy. "Tell them you voluntarily left the marital home to pursue self-discovery, and now you are upset that your husband respected your decision." She hung up without completing the call. "You know what I meant when I said I needed space, do I? Because you were pretty clear about wanting complete independence. No one controlling your decisions, remember? That is not," she started, then stopped. "I need my credit cards." "Which credit cards? The Visa, the MasterCard, the Nordstrom card?" "Oh, those. I removed you as an authorized user. Independent people should have their own credit established in their own name." For the first time since she had arrived, she looked genuinely panicked. "How am I supposed to figure it out? Is not that the whole point of self-discovery? Learning how to handle life on your own?" She stared at me for a long moment, probably waiting for me to crack and offer to fix everything. When I did not, she straightened her shoulders. "Fine, I will figure it out myself. That is the spirit. Very empowering." She turned toward the door, then paused. "This is not over. Of course it is not. Your journey of independence is just beginning. I am sure you will do great." After she left, I poured another bourbon and settled into my new chair. Independence was working out better than I had expected. Thursday morning started with my phone buzzing at 6 in the morning, her sister's name on the caller ID. "You need to fix this," she said without preamble. "Fix what exactly?" "Do not play dumb. She has been crying all night. What you did is cruel." I poured my coffee and settled into my morning routine. What I did was support her clearly stated desire for independence. "How is that cruel? You threw away all her stuff." "I donated her belongings to people who needed them. She wanted freedom from feeling owned, so I freed her from material attachments." Very Buddhist, actually. "She has nowhere to go." That is not accurate. "She chose to go to your place to find herself." Sounds like she found exactly what she was looking for. Her sister's voice climbed an octave. "She cannot stay here indefinitely." "Why not? Independent people should be able to arrange their own housing situation." The line went quiet for a moment. "You are being unreasonable. I am being supportive. There is a difference." I took a sip of coffee. Did she mention why she left in the first place? Something about marriage not giving men property rights over women? That is not she did not mean. She was very clear about what she meant. I am simply respecting her boundaries. Click. Dial tone. An hour later, my mother-in-law called. This conversation lasted about 30 seconds before she started screaming about how I was destroying her daughter's life. I let her vent, then calmly asked if she remembered the speech her daughter gave at our wedding about being a modern woman who would never lose herself in marriage. She hung up too. By noon, the cavalry arrived. 3 of her college friends showed up at my office building, thinking they could ambush me during lunch. I spotted them through the conference room window, arms crossed, faces grim, ready for battle. I took the elevator down to meet them in the lobby. "Ladies," I said pleasantly, "what brings you downtown?" The ringleader, a divorce attorney who had always treated me like I was contaminating her friend's life, stepped forward. "We need to talk about what? About what you did to her. You will have to be more specific." I did exactly what she asked for, gave her complete independence. "You stole her belongings." I donated belongings that were abandoned when she chose to leave and pursue self-discovery. Very different thing. The second friend jumped in. "She has no access to money. She has access to whatever money she earned herself. Is not financial independence part of being a modern woman?" The lawyer friend's eyes narrowed. "You cannot just cut off someone's access to marital assets." I did not cut off anything. I simply stopped subsidizing her lifestyle while she explores her independence. If she wants access to marital assets, she knows where to find me. This is financial abuse. This is respecting boundaries. She said she did not want to feel like anyone had claim over her decisions. I am honoring that request. They exchanged glances, clearly realizing their intervention was not going as planned. "She wants to come home," the third friend said quietly. "Does she? Because last week she was screaming in a therapist's office about feeling trapped and suffocated. Has she figured out what she wants? Or is she just discovering that independence comes with responsibilities?" The lawyer stepped closer, trying to intimidate. "You are going to regret this." "Regret supporting my wife's personal growth?" I doubt it. I checked my watch. "Now, if you will excuse me, I have a meeting. You ladies have a great day." That evening brought a new approach. She showed up at my parents' house during their weekly dinner, thinking she could rally them to her cause. My mother called me afterward. She seemed very upset. She said diplomatically, "Independence can be overwhelming at first, growing pains. She says you changed the locks." I did. Independent people should not rely on others for housing. She also says you donated all her belongings. I helped her achieve freedom from material possessions. Very spiritual. My mother was quiet for a moment. "Son, what exactly happened between you two?" I told her about the therapy session, about her demands for complete independence, about how I had simply given her exactly what she asked for. "And you think this will fix your marriage?" "I think this will show her what she actually wants. Right now, she is learning the difference between the idea of independence and the reality of it." What if she does not come back? Then she will have gotten exactly what she said she wanted. Either way, problem solved. Friday brought the most desperate move yet. She showed up at my office building again, but this time she was not with friends. She was alone, looking like she had not slept in days. My secretary buzzed me. "Your wife is here. She says it is urgent. Send her in." She walked into my office looking smaller somehow, defeated. "We need to talk," she said, sitting down across from my desk without being invited. "About what?" "About this ridiculous stunt you were pulling." I leaned back in my chair. "What stunt? You wanted independence? You got independence. Success story. Really, you know this is not what I meant, do I? Because you were pretty specific about not wanting to feel owned or controlled." I pulled out my phone and started scrolling through notes. "Let me see. You said marriage does not give men property rights over women. You said you felt trapped and suffocated. You said you could not breathe in our marriage." Her eyes filled with tears. I was angry. I did not mean all of that literally. "So, you were lying in therapy, making false statements to a licensed professional. That does not seem very mature." I was not lying. I was expressing how I felt, and I took those feelings seriously. Most husbands would have ignored your concerns or tried to argue with them. I validated them completely. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. "I want to come home." "Do you? Or do you just want the convenience of home without the responsibilities that come with it?" "I want my marriage back." "Which marriage? The one where you felt owned and trapped because I thought we established that was not working for you?" She stared at me for a long moment. "What do you want me to say?" "I do not want you to say anything. I want you to figure out what you actually want, instead of what you think you are supposed to want." I stood up and walked to the window. Independence is not a part-time job. You do not get to try it on for a week and then return it when you realize it does not fit. So, what now? Now you decide. Do you want a marriage with all the mutual obligations and compromises that entails? Or do you want independence with all the self-reliance and personal responsibility that requires? I turned back to face her, "But you do not get both. And you definitely do not get to treat me like property while demanding freedom from being treated like property yourself." She left without another word. For the first time in months, I actually felt optimistic about our future, whatever that future might be. Saturday morning, I was replacing the air filter in the HVAC system when my phone rang. The caller ID showed our old therapist's office number. This is an interesting development, I thought, letting it go to voicemail. The message was brief but revealing. Hi, this is calling from the counseling center. Your wife has been trying to schedule an emergency session and requested that I call you. She is quite distressed and claims there has been a misunderstanding about your last session. Could you please call back at your earliest convenience? I did not call back immediately. Instead, I finished my home maintenance tasks, made lunch, and spent the afternoon reading in my newly organized living room. Around 5 in the evening, curiosity got the better of me. Thank you for returning my call. The therapist said, your wife has been very upset this week. She feels you have misinterpreted what she said during our session. Which part did I misinterpret? Well, she says when she talked about wanting independence, she did not mean complete separation from the marriage. Interesting. What did she mean then? She says she wanted more autonomy within the relationship, not to end the relationship entirely. I sat down in my leather chair, genuinely curious about where this was going. And she could not clarify that when we spoke this week because she says, you have been unreasonable, that you have locked her out of her home and disposed of her belongings. I secured my home and donated abandoned property to charity, very different things. The therapist paused. She also mentioned financial issues. You mean learning to support herself financially? Is not that basic adult independence? Another pause. I think there may have been a communication breakdown here. Really? Because she was pretty articulate about marriage not giving men property rights over women. She said she felt owned, trapped, suffocated. Those seem like clear statements to me. People say things in anger that they do not always mean literally. She was lying in therapy, making false statements to a licensed professional about her genuine feelings. That is not what I am saying. Then what are you saying? That her words do not mean what they literally mean? That when she says she wants independence, she actually wants dependence? That seems confusing for everyone involved. The therapist's voice became more careful. I think she expected you to fight for the relationship. Fight for what exactly? The right to keep someone who does not want to be there. The privilege of being accused of treating my wife like property. That does not sound very healthy to me. Most couples work through these issues together. Most couples probably do not have one partner screaming about property rights while the other partner agrees completely. We are not most couples. She wants to schedule a joint session to work things out. Work what out? She got exactly what she asked for. Independence, autonomy, freedom from feeling owned or controlled. Success story. Really? Will you consider coming in? I thought about it for a moment. Actually, yes. I think that is a great idea. Wonderful. When would be good for you? I am available whenever you are, but I have one request. What is that? I would like you to clarify something for her. During our last session, she made very specific claims about her needs. I agreed with those claims completely and took action to support them. Could you confirm for her that I did exactly what any supportive husband should do when his wife expresses a desire for independence? That is not typically how I approach these situations. I understand, but accuracy is important. Do not you think? She said she wanted complete independence from feeling owned or controlled. I gave her complete independence. She said marriage does not give men property rights over women. I agreed completely and stopped exercising any claim over her decisions, belongings, or resources. The therapist was quiet for a long moment. I see what you are saying, do you? Because from where I am sitting, I have been the perfect supportive husband. I listened to her concerns, validated her feelings, and took immediate action to address her stated needs. If she is unhappy with the results, maybe the problem is not with my response. What do you mean? I mean, maybe she should think more carefully about what she actually wants before making dramatic demands in therapy sessions. Words have consequences, and adults should be held accountable for what they say they want. Monday evening, my phone rang. My wife's number, but she sounded different, smaller. The therapist wants to see us both on Wednesday. I heard I am available. She said she wanted to clarify some things from our last session. Good idea. Clarity's important. What did you tell her? The truth. That you asked for complete independence and I gave it to you. That you said, marriage does not give men property rights over women. And I agreed completely. Silence on the other end. She is going to tell you the same thing she told me. I continued, that you got exactly what you asked for. The question is, what are you going to do with that information? I want to come home. I know you do, but wanting something and being ready for it are different things. I looked around my peaceful house, finally feeling like home again. You spent months telling me how trapped and suffocated you felt. Now you have had a taste of real freedom. Are you sure you want to give that up? I made a mistake. Did you? Or did you just learn something important about yourself? Because there is nothing wrong with wanting independence. But there is something very wrong with wanting independence only when it is convenient. Wednesday could not come fast enough. It was time for some professional clarification about exactly what independence meant and whether she was actually ready for the marriage she claimed to want back. After all, words have meaning and actions have consequences. Time to find out if she had learned the difference. Our story has come to an end. If you have made it this far, how about subscribing to our channel? It helps us immensely. I have selected 2 other videos for you that I am sure you will enjoy. Feel free to click on them. I will be waiting for you in the next story. See you soon.